Okay, we are also tracking reports. They're coming into the studio that illegals are using other people's children as cover to get into this country. We're tracking also unverified reports right now. We're seeing story. Potentially gang members who are coming in, potentially members of the violent MS-13 gang. Reportedly, one even pretended to be an unaccompanied minor in order to get into the U.S. Let's bring in Republican Congressman of Texas. He's Representative Brian Babin. Good to see you, sir.
Great to be with you, Liz.
Congressman, what do you think at first of this idea of building a big detention center at the border as a deterrent?
Well, there's a problem with that, and that is that a lot of these people that come across the border and are apprehended and are given court dates, they cannot hold them over a certain period of time. And so they release them. They just simply are released into the country, and they disappear or go see their so-called cousins and never show up for their court date. So I'm not sure just how much of a deterrent a big, new, expensive detention center would be down on our southern border. We need to change the law so that we can hold them. And if it would work the way he said, the way the Brazilians had it happen back in the early 2000s, then maybe that would be great. But we can't hold them for very long, and so they simply disappear into the hinterlands of our country.
You know, there's also this narrative coming out, sir, as well. Let me back up. This caravan has been an annual event. CNN reporter calls it a, quote, pilgrimage. It was meant to spotlight terrible conditions in their home countries. Some saying, you know what, it's backfiring on illegals. You're trying to get in here illegally. It's not working. What do you think?
I think that the whole thing is being an abuse of our liberal system. They can come in and say they have credible fear of violence in their homelands and of persecution, etc. The truth of the matter is we have our own. There are cities within the United States of America where you may have credible fear of being attacked somewhere, and quite frankly, a lot of those are credible fear of MS-13 gangs that have come into our country illegally, posing as unaccompanied children, and then preying upon U.S. citizens. This is, I tell you, Liz, this is a very, very important national security issue. 3 years ago, I introduced a bill called the Resettlement, Accountability, and National Security Act of 2015. It essentially does the exact same thing that the president's executive orders have tried to do. I never could get it to the floor, but I had almost 90 co-sponsors to it. And these are countries that are hotbeds of terror. We know that this is a Trojan horse program. These people will hide amongst these children and families, and they come in and prey upon American citizens. And not only MS-13, but also terrorists. They are coming in as well. And when you can keep these people, like Syria, like Libya, Yemen, there's several of these countries, you can't vet these people coming in because there's no central repository of information on these people. So you're just taking a chance, and we're allowing the UN to have a bit of control over our refugee program, which is bad.
Let's switch gears. Let's move on to this story. The Supreme Court giving a warmer reception to President Trump's travel ban. The question was whether that travel ban discriminated on the basis of nationality and religion, but it looks like the Supreme Court is showing support for this travel ban. Here is Justice Alito. He asks the important question, was it really a Muslim ban? Listen.
I think there are 50 predominantly Muslim countries in the world. Five predominantly Muslim countries are on this list. The population of the predominantly Muslim countries on this list make up about 8% of the world's Muslim population. If you looked at the 10 countries with the most Muslims, exactly one, Iran, would be on that list of the top 10. So would a reasonable observer think this was a Muslim ban?
I mean, that's the point. If it was a true Muslim ban, Indonesia and Egypt would be on the list. Your reaction? It looks like it is getting a warm reception. It looks like the Supreme Court will uphold that travel ban. Go ahead.
And that doesn't surprise me at all, Liz. These are West Coast, Hawaii, Washington State, California, Ninth Circuit judges that are activists that instead of interpreting the law, they're making law. And our president has the absolute constitutional right to shut this down from these certain countries. This is not a Muslim ban whatsoever, just like Justice Alito said. These are, as I said a second ago, these are countries that cannot vet or give us information on their citizens, so we can't vet them to come in here. And terrorism comes, you don't have to look any further than Western Europe to see what happens when millions of migrants flood into these nations, and we have ISIS hiding amongst them, and we've had terrorist acts of bombings. We've had a truck running over people. You name it, we have the terrorists are after the United States and after Western civilization. And so it has to stop, and I really applaud the president for doing this. This is exactly what my bill would have done.
Still waiting for you still haven't heard from the ACLU standing up and saying, you know what, those terrorist attacks against our U.S. citizens, it's wrong. There's no greater violation of civil rights than being killed on the way to work or the way home from work. Congressman, that's my final point. But go ahead, 5 seconds.
Okay, I was just going to say this is at taxpayer expense.
Yeah, it's a good point.
We're bringing terrorists all over our country and letting them set up bases of operation here. It's absurd, it's insane, and we have to stop it.
Coming up, good to see